Hi there and welcome back. Well, this is part 2 of our lovely purple, green and white collection. And I'm just showing you some of these lovely mica powders that I'm intending on using in this video. And also a little bit of glitter there. So you can see a selection of molds. We might also use some metallic paint, but I'm not certain. Can't wait to use this tulip shaped mold. It's actually for a tea light or a candle holder. Obviously, if you're going to use it as a candle holder, make it out of eco resin or jasminite. Don't make it out of epoxy resin and then use a real flame candle because, you know, it's a fire risk. However, you can use battery operated lights with them, which is what we would probably do. So I've turned it inside out and my intention is to dust the whole of the mould with one of the mica powders. Now, I then put that to one side because I thought, no, I'm going to actually do this lovely bee lidded pot mould first. The detail in this is just, I can't get over the detail in the bee and everything else. But I thought, now what shall I use to do the bee with? Now I need to have quite a lot of accurate direction with the resin. So I decided to use some UV resin and some of the glitter. Now I was really hoping that the glitter would stay as purple as it is. But it didn't. It went more of a pinkish purple, but you'll see that shortly. So all I've done is squidged some UV resin into this pot and mixed a load of glitter in with it. Probably too much glitter for the amount of resin. So I do off camera add in some more UV resin into the pot. Give it a good stir to make sure it's thoroughly combined and coated. And then proceed to use it in the mould. So look at that. Quite intense colour there, very much a pinkish purple. Here is the lid of the mould, close up for you now. And there is the UV resin with the glitter mix. So you can see what I mean about a pinkish purple. And all I'm doing is using a coffee stir stick. You can use whatever tool you want. And I'm just putting little bits at a time onto the surface of this, where the decoration is, the detail part of the bee. Now, yes, I'm not being factually correct in the world of nature. With bees, we've got a purple glitter bee, not a yellow and black bee. You can do whatever colour you want. Use your artistic license. I certainly have with this piece. But yeah, so all I'm doing is just putting in as much as I feel happy with, and then I'm going to use the UV light to cure it. Now don't forget, when you're going to cure with a UV light, cure it the right way up and then cure it from the underneath, which is what I've then done. I've then repeated this process a few times, layering it up, just turned it over this time just to make sure I've got it everywhere where I want it to be. And then I change things up, put that to one side, and I've moved on to this lovely, I think this is like a maple or an oak, I don't think it's oak leaf, but a maple leaf trinket bowl or dish. Now it's my intention to use the same resin for the bee pot mould as I'm going to use for this leaf. Hence why I haven't just continued on with the other pot and the other mould I was just doing. So I thought I'd highlight some of the leaf detail, the veining detail in this mould with some of this beautiful vivid green mica powder. Now, I can't remember, I'll be honest, I can't remember where this mica powder was off the top of my head. It's going to either have been in a kit from Jules at Resin Jules and Helena at Resin Detra Supplies, or possibly off of Amazon, but you use whatever mica powders you feel happy using, the brands you know that work well for you. Now I did turn the tulip mould inside out and I made a boo-boo. I put it first of all with green and purple and got it completely wrong. Green would have been at the top, purple would have been at the bottom, completely wrong. So then had to clean it out and redusted the whole of the inside of that mould with various shades of purples and mauve mica powders. I've also made up quite a lot of epoxy resin. This is Tea Expert, just our brand of choice. 1-to-1 mixing ratio, very easy to use. Made it in a jug. I've never made a big jug of resin before, so that was quite exciting for me. You know, it's the little things. It's the little things. And then I decanted some of it out in just to a paper cup and added in some of this Arteza vibrant purple mica powder. I love this. We've had these Arteza mica powders for quite some time actually now, and yeah, still hardly look like they've been used. A little goes a long way. Definitely a little goes a long way. Now, not quite happy with it, so I've decided to add in some white pigment paste, and that's toned down the purple quite a bit, but it's made it opaque. And I really, really like the colour of that. Now, would you call that mauve? Would you call it purple? Or would you call it lavender? What would you call it? I'm sort of edging towards maybe that's lavender. But happy with that, with it all mixed in, thoroughly combined, and now just pouring it into the tulip mould. I've poured a little bit in to start with, and I'm just giving it a good squidge around the base of that, just to make sure it gets into all the detail of the tops of those lovely petals. And then you just fill it up. So pour slowly, steadily, in one continual stream, usually, as you saw I stopped there for a moment, all the way up to the top, and then, you know, make sure that you go all the way around the top of the edge with a micro brush, just to make sure that you haven't got any of those pesky little bubbles forming. So as you can see in the top left of the screen, I had some leftover of that colour, so I've made some little fish and some skulls and a little teddy bear. Now, decanted some of the rest of the resin into 3 more cups and added in 3 more types of mica powder colours. We've gone to some very sort of almost bluish purple there. It is purple, but it looks almost bluish purple. Very, very metallic-y looking almost. Again, not completely happy with that colour, so added in some white pigment paste. I was just watching the colours forming, the way it disperses on it. And there we go. We've gone back more to sort of like the violet colour. Now we've got this wonderful green. Now this was the green mica powder I used in the leaf mould. Very, very much, very vibrant, almost like Kermit colour. You know that frog? Certain Kermity type of colour. Now I think I did actually also add a little bit of white pigment paste into that, just to give it more of an opacity. That's right. And then here we have this lovely vibrant mauvey colour. So there we are. That's my 3 colours. I've also got off to the side some clear, which has got some clear resin left in the jug, which has also got a little bit, just a little bit of white iridescent glitter mixed in with it too. So now in a separate silicone mixing jug, I'm going to do a dirty pour. So all you're doing is you're mixing different colours of resin into one container, and then we're going to pour it out into the mould, and it'll show up as much or as little of the colours as it does. It's similar to the technique of doing a dirty pour if you do acrylic paint pouring, or you've ever seen any of that. So you never know quite what you're going to get, and that's a bit I quite like about this. But yeah, and I really do like these colours together. Maybe I will do an actual acrylic paint pouring piece using those colours. Right. Don't tend to film when I do painting, because we found that it's really resin pieces that people want to see rather than acrylic paint pouring. But let me know in the comments if you want to see some acrylic paint pouring done. We're more than happy to show you us doing it. We do have some pieces that we've done before, or that I've done, that are as you know, art for our walls in our own home, and I have done commission pieces for people who are like friends and family in the past. Right, so we filled up the rest of the lid for the bee pot mould, and I'm just going very thoroughly around the inside of the lip of that mould, hoping, and really, really hoping, that we don't get any bubbles, and then topping it up. Now we've got the leaf mould, so as you can see, I've got quite a busy work area, so apologies for that, it's not much clearer. But now we're just pouring this into the leaf mould. Look at those bubbles coming up to the surface and popping. So also now just going around, just squidging the edges of the mould. We are. If you're wondering what that is on my arm, I wear sleeve or arm protectors because I've got quite a high intolerance to epoxy resin. So I usually am double gloved. I've got double gloves on there. I've also got, usually have long sleeved clothing on, old clothing, and the sleeve protectors. Also wear a respirator mask, goggles, and work in a well ventilated area. I don't usually do the epoxy resin pieces if I can help it, but Wayne was busy. Unfortunately, he was quite busy on this particular day when this was being done, so I just thought, you know, I'm going to do it, protect myself, and I'm just going to do it. Right, so just going in with a micro brush, making sure that there are no little air bubbles anywhere, and you know, there we go. So as you can see, a very busy work area there. Now, and I didn't have anywhere else to put them because our other workspace area was just as busy with other things that were curing. Now, this is the jug with the rest of the clear resin in, and all I'm doing is literally just pouring in all the other leftover bits of resin colours. And I did have a mould in reserve to use. And just to see, you know, if hopefully we'd have enough in there to fill up the mould. And yeah, rather than make, you know, rather a lot of heart-shaped key rings and so on. So I've just gone in with a stir stick there. I mean, you don't have to do that. And maybe I shouldn't have done that because the finished piece that this resin is used for looks to be predominantly one colour with a bit of glitter. But that's absolutely fine because it still matches in and coordinates in with this collection. So this is the pot mould. Now, you may have seen this before. Wayne did it using white, silver and glitter. I think we called it an apothecary jar mould because that's what it reminds us of. But look at that. You see, so you pour a bit in, it fills it up, and then you have all these bubbles where it's trapped air and it comes up to the surface and they just pop. It's quite fascinating to watch that. So yeah, don't forget. And then all I'm doing now is going in round with a little micro brush, trying to make sure that all of the places where, you know, the air can get trapped and collect have been dislodged. And there we go, just filling it up to the top there, just to let it do it. There we are, a little tap there. Again, just around the surface there with the micro brush, trying to persuade any little air bubbles to dissipate. So here is the lid. Now at this point I thought I'm not sure if I've got enough to do the lid, but we're going to go for it. So apologies, not a particularly great camera angle here, but going in with the rest of the resin, popping that's a coffee stir stick, obviously you can use your micro brush, down into the tip of the mould, which is where the top of the lid is, and then all the way around as much as possible underneath that rim, because that's where air bubbles get trapped. And spoiler alert, I did get some trapped. But those have been remedied, filled in with resin, and it's as good as new. So this is a good 24 hours later. They're all thoroughly cured. Some of the pieces, like the leaf dish here, a little bit soft still, but it's cured resin. It just hasn't completely hardened. Look at that shimmer of glitter. Look at the green. Wow. And you can just see there on the edges of the leaves, the different colours of the purples as well, which is great. That's exactly what I wanted. I didn't want anything, you know, that was too in your face and harsh. I wanted something that would, you know, just look nice, really, would blend nicely. There we are. There we go. Look at how that green pops. I quite like that. I know it's not to everybody's taste, but I do quite like that. So this now is the bee pot. Let's see how this works. Now, please excuse the state of my gloves. I realised halfway through doing this that they had split slightly. They've got gold leaf all over them, which is because I wore them for a previous project as well. which if you've not seen it, why not head over to our playlist and check out part 1 video for this. Now you might be wondering what I'm wearing under my gloves. I've got on, so believe it or not, these are double gloves, and then I've got, so double black nitrile gloves, and then I've also got white cotton gloves underneath. Really completely protected. Yeah, but look at this. I mean, the shimmer, slight bits of green and purples here and there. Now let's see what this lid is like. Wow, that's very glittery and more green rather than purple. But, you know, that's okay because it mixes nicely. We've got some greens in the pot as well. So, and look. No, do you know, this just shows you no matter how careful you are, sometimes you just can't avoid it. There are going to be little air holes or little air pockets that get trapped. And on this one, we've got a few. So all I've done to correct that or to improve them is made up a bit of UV resin, used the mica powder and the glitter, coloured that in, and then literally done a little layer at a time, just filling it in and then curing it with the UV lamp. Look at that bee. Now that to me looks more pinkish purple rather than purple. But it's stunning. Look at it. I mean, you could go through and do the outline if you wanted to of the body using a black acrylic pen. Totally up to you, but I don't think it needs it. The only thing I would say that with this particular mould is that the lid never has a complete tight fit to the base. There's always a little bit of play, a little bit of wiggle room there, but that's fine. That's it. That's how it is. So this was our little bonus where we did the apothecary jar, and I'm doing my best to remove the mould. I did tap out and I gave it to Wayne and he got it to this stage and then gave it back to me. So I was able to demould then to continue on with the demoulding process. Now look at this. I can see a tiny bit, a slightest merest hint of green, but it is mainly the mauvey purpley colours with the glitter, and it's a beautiful, little bit of green there, little nod to the green there, but it's still stunning, it's still beautiful, and it looks right with the rest of the collection. Can't see a tiny little bubble there in the top, but you know, that's nothing to be overly concerned about, but it's very similar to the leaf, so it does match in quite nicely. And here we go with the lid. Yeah, unfortunately, again, we've got a few little bubbles that got trapped, no matter how careful and yeah, how careful I was. So again, all I did was mix up some UV resin, applied the glitter, and then filled up all of those little holes that we had using UV resin, little bit by little bit, curing each layer in between. But look at that lid. My goodness. The glitter, I mean, it looks golden in with the coloured resin, but wow. So again, little bit of play in the lid, but that's absolutely fine. It looks gorgeous, really gorgeous. Need to do these in some other colours. And we are going to just tidy up the base of that one as well with a little bit of light sanding with an emery board. Now this is the tulip. Now this one is going to be very much more dark purple. Because I dusted the inside of the mould with the purple or different colours of purple, and just wrestling with it a bit because this is the first time I've used this mould. So here we go with demoulding. To be honest with you, it's only because I've got like double gloves on that it takes me a little bit longer and it's a bit more fiddly for me to demould. But look at that. Can you see the graduation of colour with the mica powders on the petals? Little bit of the green mica still left on it, but that's fine. And look at that. I mean, it's not very deep because it is meant as a tea light holder. And yeah, as you can see any moment. And don't forget, as I said, only use battery operated tea lights, never real flame ones with resin pieces, because it's a fire hazard if you use real flame candles with this. If you want to use real flame candles, then use an eco resin to make these tea light holders. So look at that. So there's those pieces together. And they're quite nice. Lots of shades of purple. Possibly could have done a bit more with the darker purples. And here we go. We've got a little flyover shot for you here. Look at that. And the green reflecting in the glitter as well. So this is one of the final shots, the beauty shots as I call them, showing you the pieces that we've made. I hope you agree with us in that we think that they look stunning and beautiful and all of those kinds of words and adjectives to describe them. There we go. And here we are again. Slightly different version or viewpoint. Really, really looking gorgeous. Really beautiful. And then here at the end, a little preview of what we did in part 1 of this collection, and obviously part 2 as well. We're going to try and do a part 3 where we use the faux leather. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, and we'll see you again soon. Take care, everyone.